Let me tell you something I never thought I'd say out loud, not even to myself on a bad night. If you'd asked me 5 years ago what my biggest worry was for retirement, I'd have said keeping deer out of the tomatoes, or maybe finding a lawn chair that doesn't creak. But I'll tell you what I got instead: a full-blown war with a homeowners association, complete with fake documents, midnight property grabs, and a cast of characters you wouldn't believe unless you'd lived through it. And buddy, I lived every second of it. I'm Bob Ashton, 48, retired cop. Not retired by choice, just worn out by 2 decades chasing after folks who thought a piece of paper could beat a set of handcuffs. Bought my little corner of Colorado peace fair and square, right at the foot of a pine-covered hill. Place wasn't much, just one of those houses with more stories than square footage, a yard with enough dandelions to feed the world's rabbits, a rusty old carport, shed out back, porch swing I built with my own hands. I called it the Bastion, not to anyone but myself, but that's what it felt like. Safe. Mine. I'd bought it from an old vet, Val Harris. Man had handshake like a vice, eyes like gunmetal. When he gave me the keys, he said, "They offered me double, but I ain't selling to jackalls. Keep it safe. Keep it free." That stuck with me. Even now, I should have known trouble was coming. See, my property sits like a prized truffle between 2 hungry pigs. On one side ridge hollow preserve, a sprawling HOA playground with identical beige houses and enough Karens to staff a call center. On the other, a logistics company desperate for a shortcut to the main road. 10 minutes, shaved off deliveries. That's all they cared about. I was the last domino standing in their way. The first year, some contractor tried to sneak a fiber line under my fence. Caught him at midnight with a shovel in one hand and a city permit that looked like it was printed in a high school library. Sent him packing with a scar on his ego. Next year, a landscaping crew showed up, routine maintenance. They said, hedge trimmers in hand. Didn't get past the front gate. Third year, I get reported for abandoning my house. Inspector walks up to find me on the porch, oiling a shotgun. That rumor died quick. And then nothing. 2 years of actual peace. Long walks, learning to carve wood badly, fixing what broke, feeling like maybe, just maybe, I'd earned this. But peace doesn't last around here. Not when there's money on the line. Last week, everything shifted. Ridge Hollow elected a new HOA president. Name came up in the bulletin: Karen McDaniels. 60-something, all business, bulldog in a pantsuit. Word was she never lost a lawsuit and treated community expansion like manifest destiny. I knew the type. Hell, I'd arrested the type. So I kept my eyes peeled, changed the batteries in my cameras, checked the locks, checked them twice. Sure enough, one Thursday, I come back from town, gravelweed killer in one hand, cold beer in the other hand. There's a white SUV in my gate. 2 men in matching polos, standing stiff like mall cops. And there she is. Hair perfect, sunglasses like 2 black mirrors. "Can I help you?" I ask, trying to keep things light. Karen steps forward, folder in hand, like she's about to deliver a sermon. "Mr. Ashton, your property is now part of our community use zone. You'll need to vacate immediately." I'll admit I laughed. Couldn't help it. Told her I've got the deed, notarized, with every I dotted and T crossed. "Not under your HOA. Never was." She doesn't even blink. Tells me after a reassessment and new GIS overlays, my land now qualifies as HOA territory. If you refuse, we'll contact law enforcement for illegal occupation. One of her goons snaps a photo of my mailbox. Now, I'm not one for drama, but I stepped through that gate, looked those men dead in the eye, and said, "Come on, let's test your theory." They didn't move. Karen just says, "You'll be receiving formal notice." She leaves with a smile that could curdle milk. Letter arrives 2 days later. Big envelope. Logo screaming, "Will ruin your life," and send a coupon for mulch. Inside, pages and pages of legal sludge. Zit sim bundavi interesan wagovanen. All the language I used to see from shady developers trying to sneak a rezoning past the town board. Only this time, My name's at the top. They drew new lines on a map, filed it without telling me. Now, according to them, my garage, porch swing hell, maybe even the grill are all non-compliant structures that need immediate correction. 10 days or face penalties. I didn't yell. I laughed. Then I swore. Then I laughed again. Spent hours pulling every scrap of paper I owned, title deed, plat survey, tax forms, even the gravel receipt from last year. Scanned it all, emailed the county recorder. Sent a copy to Dana, a lawyer friend I'd helped years ago. She calls me before sunset. Bob, this is a hostile paper grab. They filed something, but it's got more holes than Swiss cheese. If you let them fine you once, they'll have precedent. You'll be in their web for good. That night, I doubled up on security, new cameras, more lights. Next day, white SUV cruises by again, snaps photos, drives off. Over the week, the envelopes pile up, compliance notices, penalty demands, election flyers, with a welcome new member coupon. They were trying to bury me in paperwork, make me look like the crazy old man yelling at clouds. But they'd messed with the wrong guy. I walked the property with my measuring wheel and the old plat map Val gave me, took photos, geotagged every marker, uploaded it all to the cloud. This wasn't just my fight anymore. I was building a case. Then neighbors started turning. Folks who used to wave crossed the street. Someone left a flyer in my mailbox and signed, but in the HOA's favorite font. Your presence is disruptive. Please vacate. Attaching a blurry aerial photo of my house with a red circle and community expansion opportunity. I drove to town, nursed bad coffee for hours, thinking about Val, about the line he'd drawn. A few mornings later, I hear boots on gravel. 2 sheriff's cruisers, lights off. Deputy Collins' old friend. Bob, we've got an order. Temporary possession. Civil enforcement. I blinked. Not a land court judge. Not even a county judge, hey, a municipal judge. They called my home an illegal structure pending community use review. Karen's doing. She shows up, of course, flanked by her minions in high-vis vests. Smiles at me like she's won a prize. Inside, I grab my badge from over the fireplace, show it to Collins. You know what this is? He nods, doesn't like it any more than I do. As they tape off my porch, I ask, who signed this reassessment? Turns out, it was a judge who'd retired months ago, backdated by Karen herself. They gave me 10 minutes to grab my things. Laptop, hard drive, old service revolver. As I walked out, Karen snapping photos like she's posing for victory. She had no idea what kind of hell she'd just started. 6 hours in the detention center, just protective detainment, they said. I spent it memorizing every misstep in that court order. As soon as I was out, I called Rick, assistant DA, old partner in Marcy, as senior state analyst, both good people who owed me a favor. They wanted everything, deed, plat, emails, all of it. Set up a war room in a cheap motel. Email goes out. Within a day, Rick and Marcy have found the holes, expedited parcel reassignment. No public hearing, no valid signature. Even the digital timestamp on their documents was a week old, though it claimed to be from months back. Forensics found the notary had lost her license 2 years prior. Classic. Val's son, Matthew, flew in with hospice records, proving Val couldn't have signed anything when the HOA claimed. Dana prepped affidavits. Marcy found the HOA's internal emails. Karen had written up a Phase 2 acquisition plan, her own words, acquisition by any means, quiet reassignment, document recycling. They'd forged signatures, backdated forms, you name it. Vernon, an old surveyor, brought drone footage of the property original boundary markers, unbroken, plain as day. Even caught Karen and her crew on camera, sneaking onto my land, spray painting new lines. That was the nail in the coffin. Monday, court date. Judge saw right through their act. They'd even submitted a fake declaration, signed by Val, saying he'd given them the land. But hospice records, nurse affidavits, and digital forensics buried that lie. By Friday, Karen and her board cronies were under criminal investigation, fraud, forgery, conspiracy, the whole 9 yards. Her precious HOA was frozen by emergency injunction. News vans at the entrance, residents furious, board members tripping over each other to apologize. One even shook my hand, said, "I voted for Karen, thought she was efficient." I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. The state took over. Judge granted a permanent injunction. My property could never be reassigned or subject to any HOA without my signed consent and judicial review. Karen got 13 years, no parole. Her goons got less, but they won't be running any HOAs soon. The logistics firm's CEO caught red-handed and emails got fined and banned from contracts. Hwadison ven on asset frozen. Ridge Hollow's name was Mud. And just like that, I wasn't just some cranky ex-cop with a stubborn streak. I was the guy who brought down a ring of suburban paper pushers who thought they could take anything if they wore the right suit and smile the right way. 3 weeks after the verdict, I drove home. Gate still bent, porch swing still there. Inside, nothing touched. I stood on the porch, coffee in hand, and for the first time in a long while, let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Replaced every lock, added new cameras, put up a custom sign. This property is not subject to any HOA. Attempt fraud, and you'll meet me in court. Below that, in small letters, not for sale, not for lease, not for compromise. Emails poured in, folks asking for help, sharing their stories. I started helping quietly, showed them how to read their deeds, spot dirty tricks, push back against HOAs. I called it retired cop property armor. Kinda has a ring to it. Val's son visited, stood by the gate with me, said, "You did right by him." I like to think I did. A week later, some kid tried to hop my fence. Floodlights came on. Audio warning blared, law enforcement notified. Kid ran for the hills. I just laughed. Let him spread the word. Now, there's a bill up in the state house named after Val and me, though his name comes first, as it should. Forces HOAs to show their books. Makes it a crime to change boundaries without consent. That's how it should be. So let me ask you, this where's the line? How much power is too much? And when does a community become a cartel? Have you ever had a fight for what was already yours, just because someone decided to redraw the map? Let me know. Share your story. The fight isn't over, but I've got my house, my swing, and peace at last. And I'll be damned if anyone takes that from me again.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.